Growing up, I was always told to stay away from the house where the road ends. It was an odd thing to see, really. Just a single, weather-beaten home sitting alone, like the road itself existed only to lead to it. Back then, every kid in town had a story about it. Some said there was a monster in the attic. Others swore the floorboards would swallow you whole if you stepped on the porch. One girl claimed she heard someone humming inside, soft and slow, like a lullaby. But there was one rule we all knew. No matter what version of the story you believed, never knock. My parents were firm. Don't you ever go near it. They never explained why, just promised I'd be grounded for a month, lose my bike, my Barbies, everything, if I even stepped onto the property. So I listened, even when the neighborhood's most popular kids dared me to go with them. I stayed behind. I kept my head down and obeyed. And it's a good thing I did, because that was the last time anyone saw them. Now, at 28 years old, I've ended up right where I was told never to go, standing in front of the house where the road ends. It wasn't supposed to come to this. I had a career, a marriage, a future, but everything fell apart after the miscarriage. The grief swallowed me, and I couldn't keep up. Not with my husband, not with my job. I lost both, and for a while, I lost myself too. Now I'm back in my hometown, staying in my old room at my parents' place, pretending I'm just taking time to get back on my feet. But I know why I'm really here. I've been thinking about this house my entire life. I used to tell myself I felt guilty for not going with the kids when they invited me all those years ago, that I owed it to them. But deep down, I know that's not it. My curiosity didn't fade with time. It bloomed, quietly, obsessively, like something waiting for the right season to grow. I parked off to the side of the overgrown road, my tires crunching the gravel. Even now, standing outside it, the house astonished me. It looked exactly the same as it had when I was a kid. Weather-worn, sagging porch, shingles peeling like dead skin. The years had passed, but it hadn't aged a day. Neither had my unease. As I walked up the creaking steps, something about the place felt familiar. Sure, I've seen the house while growing up, but being on the property felt like I've been here before. I barely raised my hand to knock when the door eased open with a soft groan. Standing in the doorway was a man who looked like he might be in his late 40s, maybe early 50s. But something about him was off. His skin was unnaturally smooth, wrinkle-free, like someone had ironed it. Not a single freckle or pore. No stubble on his face. No body hair at all. Just polished, preserved skin stretched across sharp cheekbones. He was tall, with broad shoulders, but somehow still looked small in his beige button-up cardigan and denim jeans, like he was trying to look normal and just missed the mark. "Good morning, sweetheart," he said, his tone syrupy and calm. "Welcome to my humble abode." A chill rolled up my spine, not because of the words, but the way he said them. Soft, low, almost as if he was talking to a child. He invited me inside with that same soft, measured smile. The first thing that hit me wasn't the silence. It was the smell. It didn't stink like rot or mildew. No, it was worse than that. It smelled humid, fleshy, like we had pressed into fabric, like skin that had been too warm for too long. There was an artificial sweetness layered over it, something chemical and perfumed, like off-brand baby powder mixed with Febreze. a failed attempt to mask something organic. Despite the smell, the house was spotless, sterile, everything arranged just so, like a showroom no one had ever touched. The living room looked like it had been staged from an old catalog. Clean lines, soft whites, not a speck of dust. It felt less like a home and more like someone's idea of what a home should look like. Just inside the door, on the little key table beneath a brass lamp, were a few neatly framed drawings, crayon on construction paper, children's art, the kind you'd expect to see stuck to a fridge with magnets. But these were framed, centered, carefully preserved like they mattered more than they should have. One of them caught my eye. It showed two stick figures, one small, one tall. The smaller one had pigtails and a pink triangle dress. The larger one was filled in completely black, like the crayon had been pressed hard enough to tear the paper in places. They were holding hands. At the top, written in shaky block letters, it said, "Me plus V." At the bottom corner, scrawled in red, were the initials R.E. "Please," he said, gesturing to the couch. "Make yourself comfortable." I sat stiffly on the couch, unsure where to put my hands. The cushion felt unused, too firm. Across from me, Mr. Renly lowered himself into the rocking chair with a practiced ease, folding one leg over the other. The chair creaked once, then went silent. "I insist on knowing your name, darling." The word landed wrong in my ears. I immediately felt nauseous. "Amika," I said bluntly. "Ah, Amika." He rolled my name on his tongue like he was tasting it. "Amika, Amika." He said it again, slower this time, almost like he was trying to memorize how it felt in his mouth. "What a beautiful name," he said finally, smiling again. I clenched my teeth. "Well, Amika, you may call me Mr. Renly." "Well, nice to meet you, Renly," I replied. His smile tightened. "Mr. Renly," he corrected sharply. The sudden firmness in his tone hit me like a slap. My chest tensed. The shift was small, barely anything, but every alarm in my body went off. "Would you like some tea?" he asked pleasantly, like we were two old friends catching up. "Chamomile, maybe, with a little honey. That's what your mother used to drink, isn't it?" I blinked. I'm okay, thank you." He nodded, not offended, just watching. His eyes moved too slowly, like he was trying to read something behind my face. "I must say, Amika, you've grown into something lovely." The words came sugar-dipped, but I felt the bitterness beneath. It didn't sound like a compliment. It sounded like a report. "Thanks," I muttered. I glanced around the room again, trying to ease the pressure in my chest. Everything was too clean. Every object had been placed with careful intention, but no warmth. "You've lived here long?" I asked, just to fill the silence. He smiled softly. "Always." He tapped the arm of his chair with 2 fingers, like it amused him. I looked at the framed drawings by the door. I let my eyes drift to the framed crayon drawings by the door again. "They're sweet," I said, unsure why the word felt so wrong. Mr. Renly glanced at them, then back at me. "Children like to draw what makes them feel safe." I nodded slowly. "Did someone live here before?" He didn't answer right away, just smiled like he'd heard a funny joke only he understood. "Visitors come and go," he said. "The house has always been welcoming. You keep their art? Of course, he said, like it was obvious. Children leave things behind. I shifted in my seat. That one, I said, gesturing vaguely. It looks like it's been here a long time, I asked. Yes, he said with a small nod. Some things stay longer than others. He looked at me with eyes that felt older than the house itself. There was a pause, a little too long. I tried to smile. Well, it's a nice place. Cozy. He chuckled softly. It grows on you. You know, he said after a moment, it can help you with your little issue. I felt the back of my neck prickle. I froze. What? He tilted his head, eyes almost kind. The ache, the loss, that sense that something is missing. Call it what you like. The room felt colder somehow, even as the air thickened around me. Grief makes you heavy, he said, but some homes are built to bear the weight. I don't know what you're talking about. His smile didn't falter. Of course you do. We sat in silence for a long beat. Then he looked toward the stairs. She's awake now, he said softly. She knows you're here. Who? He stood slowly, like this was part of a ritual, one he had performed before. Go take a look upstairs. He straightened his cardigan, smoothing a wrinkle that wasn't there. She's waiting for you. A chill swept over me. I stood on shaky legs, every instinct screaming not to move, not to listen. But I stepped toward the stairs anyway. The air shifted, thicker, warmer. Each step groaned under my weight like it hated me. Halfway up, I looked back. Mr. Renly was still watching, still smiling. At the top of the stairs, the smell hit me. Rot, sweetness, sweat, decay. The same scent I noticed downstairs. Only now it was stronger, concentrated, alive. A narrow hallway stretched ahead, faded carpet underfoot, walls a sickly beige, doors lined either side, all shut, except one. At the very end, just barely ajar. The silence pressed in harder with every step I took toward it. The carpet crunched beneath my shoes like old cereal. My throat burned from holding back the urge to gag. The closer I got, the more I realized. This wasn't a dead smell. It was something still rotting while it breathed. I reached the door, paused. My hand hovered over it. I didn't want to know, but I had to. I pushed it open. The hinges gave a long, aching creak. The stench exploded in my face. I yanked my jacket up over my nose, but it didn't help. The air felt thick, wet, like breathing through a sponge soaked in spoiled milk. Inside the room, the light was dim, just a single lamp humming in the corner. And on the bed, something was waiting. It was thin, impossibly thin. Its limbs looked like they'd been stretched, starved, dried out. Translucent skin clung to a skeleton that didn't seem human. Greasy brown hair hung in limp strands across a bloated stomach, so swollen it looked ready to split. Its belly rose unnaturally high. The flesh pulled taut, pale and pulsing, like something was pushing outward from inside. The belly button jutted like a cracked, puckered eye. Dark blue veins spider-webbed across its stomach. Beneath the skin, shapes shifted. I couldn't tell how many. I stared at its swollen stomach, and something in me twisted. Something I didn't want to name. It was wrong. All of it was wrong. And still, it had what I lost. Umbilical cord spilled down over the footboard. curled onto the floor in a slow, twitching loop. It raised one bony arm, the joints popping. Its fingers were long, curved like insect legs, nails yellow and curled outward. It spoke. "My child, I've missed you." Its voice was soft, feminine, almost motherly, but not right, like a nursery rhyme played backward. It beckoned. I stumbled back, heart jackhammering in my chest, right into something solid. A hand gripped my shoulder. Another curled into my hair. Mr. Renly leaned in, his breath hot against my ear. "You smell wonderful, Miss Amika," he whispered, so full of potential. That broke me. I shoved him off and bolted. Down the stairs, through the door, off the porch. I didn't stop until I hit the dirt and collapsed to my knees, vomiting into the dry earth. I raced back to my parents' house, heart slamming in my chest the entire drive. Gravel crunched under the tires as I pulled up. I barely remembered turning off the engine before I was through the front door, slamming it shut behind me. Dad was in his recliner with a beer in hand, half watching some game on TV. Mom was in the kitchen, humming softly as she chopped vegetables, like it was just another evening. "Did you know?" I asked, my voice sharp, breath catching. "Did you know what's in that fucking house?" Dad grunted, annoyed, not even looking up. Mom stepped out from the kitchen, holding a knife in one hand, a carrot in the other. "What are you talking about, sweetheart?" she asked carefully. "You know exactly what I'm talking about." I could barely keep the disgust out of my voice. She stood still, eyes dull with dread. The knife dropped into the sink with a metallic clatter. Dad finally looked over, then went back to his beer. You saw it?" Mom whispered. "Is that why you never let me near that place?" I snapped. "Because you knew?" Mom didn't answer. She just gestured toward the dining table. "Honey, come sit down." "Marie," my dad said without turning. The warning in his voice was subtle, but it was there. "I'm telling her," Mom said, firm but quiet. "Marie, you know the rule." Dad snapped, standing now. His face was flushed, jaw clenched. "She's already seen it. It's too late now," she snapped, then turned back to me. "Sit down, sweetie." Dad hesitated, then sat. He was still a drunk, but at least he's a reasonable one for now. I lowered myself into the chair across from her, still shaking. "What rule is he talking about?" She hesitated, fingers trembling against the edge of the table. Her voice came out soft and brittle. "Mr. Vardy is a very nice man." I stared at her. "Who?" "Mr. Renly," she corrected herself. "He calls himself Renly now, but that's not his real name." She reached out for my hand, but I pulled away. Something in her expression shifted. Shame, like she'd been carrying this too long. "Our town. It's special in ways I wish it weren't." "What the hell does that mean?" I asked. "We all came from..." She paused. I didn't need her to finish. I already knew. My voice cracked when I asked, "How does it get pregnant?" The air went still. Even the TV had gone quiet. Dad turned toward her slowly. "Marie," he said, just her name, but the threat in it was unmistakable. She didn't break eye contact with me. With a voice so soft, she said, "Mr. Vardy, The silence was heavier than anything I'd seen inside that house. The women here, we can't carry children. It's not in us. I swallowed. My throat burned. Is that why I didn't finish the question. She nodded, eyes down. So I was never broken. I was built this way. All the children here, she said, they were given to us by him. A wave of nausea rolled through me. My hands were slick with sweat. There's a rule, she continued. Once adopted, we weren't allowed to tell you. Not a word. And you were never to go near that house. She paused. Her voice dropped further. If he finds out, he punishes the family. What kind of punishment? I asked, barely managing the words. Her lips tightened. She stared into her lap. There was a family on Rosewood, the Elkins. Their little girl Ruthie went up to the house. One night, they woke up and she was gone. No broken windows, no footprints. Just her bed, still warm, and a note on her pillow. Her hand was shaking. It said, "You broke the rules. You can have her back when she forgets." My mouth went dry. Jesus. They waited 7 years, she said. Then one morning she was there, sitting on the porch. Same age, same dress, same pigtails. She exhaled. They ran to her, tried to hug her, but she pulled away and asked, "Are you my new mommy and daddy?" My stomach dropped. She didn't remember them? I asked. No, but she did remember someone. My mother said. She said she had a friend, a nice one. Said his name was Vivi. A thick silence settled in. I sat there taking everything in when... Knock, knock, knock. My mother jolted. My father froze mid-breath. He stood slowly and walked to the door like a man on his way to the gallows. When he opened it, the color drained from his face. Who the hell? He stopped. Dead quiet. Standing in the doorway, smiling politely, was Mr. Renly. That same spotless suit, that same gentle smile. But the smile didn't reach his eyes. Without a word, he stepped inside and walked to the dining table. His hands came to rest lightly on my shoulders. I flinched. Dad joined us, suddenly sober. What can we do for you, Mr. Vardy? Renly didn't answer right away. He just looked between us. Finally, he spoke. Calm, pleasant, like this was just a visit between old friends. You all know why I'm here, he said, smiling wider. So, let's have a little chat.